Come on! Get in! Yeah! Love it.
It's been one hell of a week, hasn't it? Welcome everybody. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. And this is the reaction show. It's an FA Cup third round reaction show to Newcastle versus Bournemouth. There's so many games coming thick and fast. It's hard to know where we are. So many goals flying in. But we're going to get through it somehow. This was going to be a quick show. Not anymore. That's out the window. Pete, how are you?
Whew. I was just holding my chest. I'm like, I don't know if my ticket can take any more of this. Any more of this late, last-minute action and just last-minute winners and all the rest of it. Like, are we really in for a season like this? Seriously? Oh, man. But look, buzzing, ultimately. Buzzing. We both came on when I came on just before we went live, and we were both like, yes, get in there. Both buzzing that we got the win in the end. We're in the hat for the next round, and ultimately that's all that matters. So buzzing with that, but we'll get into it all. Of course we will, as the show is going on. But
it's this man also happy we're in the hat. All right, Chris.
Oh, mate. Hello, boys. Sorry, I'm running a bit late. Yeah, absolutely delighted. Absolutely delighted. It was another another bit of a mad game, wasn't it? But to come out the good side of it, that's the main thing. That is the main thing. But yeah, on a personal level, boys, I am all good, and yeah, looking forward to going into detail on that match because yeah, there was lots to talk about. Lots.
Just a bit. Might throw the shades on later on. You never know. We'll keep them off for now. Right, let's get into it, boys, because there is, you said, there's a lot to go through. If you are watching on X or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button as well. To enable the chat on YouTube, just subscribe, and that will get you straight into the chat. You'll be able to chat with everyone else, and the Loaded Ultras are in the house as well, and the mods. So happy weekend, everyone.
let's.
Maybe.
Why not? Why not? Eh? Four on the bounce, lads. 4 on the bounce. Come on.
Never in doubt.
No reason why not.
It was good though, lads. Four wins in a row.
It is.
Early December, we were desperate for these moments. Let's enjoy, lads. Let's enjoy.
Let's follow it up as well on Tuesday. As soon as that game's over, you're thinking of the next one. But let's get through the reaction show.
Absolutely.
Right. Boys, because there was some changes to the team. This was the team for Newcastle. Nick Fortemada and Weeza start for Newcastle. So that's a big change. That's the first time we've seen that. Some stars rested as well. If you look at that bench, you have Popey, Hall, J7, Gordon, Alex Murphy, Bruno, Sean Neve, Miley, and Ellaby as well, all on the bench. Pete, what do you make of the team?
A pleasant surprise, lads. I'm not going to lie. A pleasant surprise. Lots of people have been talking about Johan Weeza and Nick Fortemada being in the same team. Can they play together, etc., etc.? Well, there we go. We were there to find out because those boys were in the same team together. The exciting thing is, I spent the build up to the game starting, the kickoff, just wondering what type of formation we were going to play. How was it going to look? What was it going to look like? Who was going to play where? And it was, you know what? It was just quite refreshing, actually, to have something a little bit different in that lineup. Of course, we knew there were going to be changes. The Trippier right back, Tino left back was kind of expected. Child Botman was expected because it wasn't really anybody else. I did think that Pope was going to play. He normally is quite wedded to Nick Pope playing when he's fit and available. It's the one position he doesn't really change. So that was probably the one surprise for me is that Ramsdale was in. I'm sure we'll talk about him later on. But yeah, other than that, it was kind of like, yeah, other people minutes. We're going to get minutes and get an opportunity to show their worth. So yeah, it was refreshing, lads. I'll use that word. It was refreshing.
Was it refreshing for you, Chris?
It was, yeah, and it as well. We saw managing of minutes, didn't we? Obviously, the likes of Bruno, the likes of Joe Linton, the likes of Gordon, all getting a rest, which I think is important because we know that January is very, very busy. I think there's 9 games in total in January, so we know that there's a lot of football to be played. So it made sense. And yeah, I was just super intrigued to see what, you know, how we were going to line up, how things were going to look with Nick Voltemade and Johan Visser on the pitch. Unlike Pete, I wasn't as surprised that Adam Ramsdale started between the sticks. I still think Eddie Howe probably feels a little bit harsh, given that as soon as Nick Pope was back, it was like, yes, Nick Pope's back in. So it's a good opportunity to give Adam Ramsdale a bit of football. But yeah, I had no complaints with the lineup. Good to see Kevin Trippier as well back in the starting 11. Albeit I don't think it was his best game, but we'll get into that. But yeah, I thought the team was going to be strong enough to get a positive result today and progress to the fourth round.
Right. Did they make it? Stay tuned to find out. Right, let's get into it. Of course, the game wasn't on any of the normal channels, but you all got to watch it by legal means, of course. First half, some sloppy passing to begin with as for Newcastle, as they settle into the with the personnel changes and the formation formats. Krupke, I can't. Doesn't matter. That guy, he had a shot, a save by Ramsdale, and the sixth match, a big save. This is from Bournemouth. It's Barnes, Nick Voltemade, and Wisa combined. He should have finished it. Voltemade playing deeper with Wisa in the number 9 spot was the kind of big change, the big difference than what we're used to. On the 11th minute, Wisa had a header saved. Then shortly after that, my stream went down, so I had to go and find another stream. So, but next 10 minutes, I have no idea what happened. But it meant that I didn't have to listen to Jay Boythright anymore. Friend of yours, Pete, I know, but I don't take no notice of that. Right, but we're back on to the 31st minute. Willock with a chance. He put it high and wide, unlucky there. 39 minutes. Tonali with a shot from distance wide. He's mad to score today. I wonder why. 40 minutes. Ramsdale save from a quick Bournemouth corner. Yeah, because we're slow to react there, but yeah, Ramsdale was awake. 43 minutes. Well, Visa volley played in by Barnes goes wide. Looked offside in any case, but that took us to halftime and it took it to 0-0. What I didn't mention also, boys, is the tribute at the start of the game as well to King Kev. After the news broke during the week, as we commented on the last reaction show. But halftime, what's your thoughts on that first half?
Go on, Chris. Go for it, mate.
A little bit stop-start. There were some good moments. I did enjoy the link-up play between Voltemade and Johan Visser. I thought that showed some real promising signs. Harvey Barnes looking as dangerous as he has in recent weeks. So there was lots to be positive about. I was a little bit concerned with Kieran Trippier. He did look like he'd been out for an extended period of time to me. There was a couple of moments where, he got beat by his man. Positionally, could have been better. Sven Botman also, I felt at times, Sven Botman didn't look his assured self. Well, we know when Sven Botman's, back up to peak fitness, we see that Rolls Royce, we see it pairing. But he's not quite there yet, I wouldn't say. Tino as well. In fact, I could probably say the back four. The back four didn't look as comfortable as we've seen in recent times. So, Newcastle don't actually have that bad of defensive records, but today, I don't know. We didn't look as comfortable at the back. In midfield, I thought we were ticking over nicely. I thought Sandro Tonali had a really good game, and obviously up until, I know we're talking at half time here, but Sandro looked more like himself. Joe Willock and Jacob Ramsey. I wouldn't say they were particularly electrifying in that first half, but there were some nice plays, some nice little intricate movements and stuff like that, which was positive to see. So yeah, I think overall I was reasonably pleased with that first half. And again, as I've said in recent weeks, I did feel confident going into the second half that we'd really kick it up a gear. The crowd were definitely on side, and more pleasingly, the players were giving them enough to get behind them, if that makes sense. There was enough in there. And from a few weeks ago, boys, where everything was a bit doom and gloom and we weren't quite sure what Newcastle United were going to turn up, I'm starting to see signs now of a little bit of fluidity and a little bit more intention in our play. So yeah, positive. I would say positive. And I thought we were unlucky not to be at least 1 goal in front come the halfway point.
Right, let's get into that second half because we have many more halves to come. Newcastle start the second half strong. And the 48th minute, Barnes and Votamada 1-2. Nice play from Newcastle. Barnes gets the opener. Big Nick Votamada showing the other side of his game in that deeper number 10 role. Cue the celebrations from Harvey Barnes. Love it. And a big thank you to Big Nick. Pete, thoughts on Barnes' goal?
It's a lovely goal. A really, really lovely goal. Really well worked from Nick Votamada, who I thought that has been his most impressive all-round performance for me this season. He looks so comfortable in that number 10 role. He looks so comfortable. I don't remember a game where he's had that many touches on the ball up until that moment. He was constantly on the board. He was a key in everything moving forward. He was a link play to the wide men, to the midfielders, to Johan Wieser up until that point. And I really, really liked what I saw of him. And to see him get on the ball in that position and just thread that outside of the football through to Harvey Barnes, it didn't surprise me because he looked like he was enjoying his football today. And at times this season, he hasn't really looked like he's enjoyed it. He looked like he's obviously doing a job for the team, but he looked like he was having a little bit of fun there out there today. And it was a lovely ball through. Harvey Barnes in that position, I'm always confident that he's going to put the ball in the net. And it was a lovely goal. The little side foot through the goalkeeper's legs into the net. And that is a goal of a lad in Harvey Barnes who is absolutely flying right now. He is full of confidence. 11 goals for the Premier League season. And I'm jumping ahead there, so I apologize. But he is playing some brilliant, brilliant stuff. And he also looks like he's playing with a smile on his face. He looks like he's enjoying his football. And I have to say, lads, Nick Votamada and Harvey Barnes link well. Their connections with each other, even this all through this season, whenever they play on the same pitch, they seem like they have a bit of an understanding. They're always looking for each other for 1-2s. They always have this it's almost like this little bit of telepathy that's starting to build in their play. So the goal and the movement was lovely, but it doesn't surprise me with those two. And it was just great to see. And you know what? Other than a period of kind of like the first 5 or 10 minutes in the first half, Newcastle looked like the much the better team, and we deserved to take the lead at that point. We were looking the more potent in the attacking areas. We were consistent in recycling the ball and continuing attacks. I just thought we fully deserved to take the lead, and it was a bit of a relief because you always worry in those moments that when you're up, you don't take your chances, you end up getting punished. But ultimately, we got the first goal, and I think we deserved it at that point. But Daz, your opinion on the? Oh, sorry, Chris, your opinion on the goal? My bad.
Yeah, no, mate. Really, I think the ball came in, didn't it, from Sven Botman? I think it was Sven Botman anyway who played the ball in. Harvey Barnes held it up really, really well, lays it off slightly to Nick Votamada, who then is off and away. And I tell you what, it's such a clever, intricate pass, isn't it? It probably won't get the credit it deserves because Harvey Barnes does a fantastic finish, no doubt about it. Harvey Barnes makes the run. It's a really clever run. But Nick Votamada putting it in behind the defender. So the defender can see it and the defender wants to get to it. But because of the spin and the angle that he puts it on, it's very difficult for the defender to get there. And it just falls nicely into the path of Harvey Barnes. But it's a really smart finish. Really, really smart finish. It was a well-worked goal, that, boys. And Pete, you're right to highlight it. The play between Votamada and Barnes was exquisite. It was a really, really nice goal. Looks very simple. Looks like, just a bog standard easy goal. But when you look at the play and how it was built up, and then obviously the pass from Votamada and then the finish from Barnes, he could have skied it. He could have hit it at the keeper. He releases the ball at just the right time in order to execute it, put it in the bottom corner. So no, it was a really smart finish from Harvey Barnes. A really nice goal.
You're right on how simple it looked, but there's a play later on in the game where it's just when you hit it that bit too far, you see what happens. And we'll talk about it later on because they're nearly had a similar goal again. Well, 51 minutes, save from Ramsdale as Bournemouth are gifted an opportunity by Tino. Vilson in but he could not capitalize. 54 minutes, Ramsdale is saved by the offside flag as his parry let Bournemouth find the net. We got lucky there at that point. Then 58 minutes, bad news. Tino is down, needs to come off. It looks like his hamstring. Hall is on in his place at left back, and another injury to our back line. We'll probably talk a bit more about that at the end of the game, of what that might mean now for the transfer window as well. 59 minutes, mix up by Bournemouth, nearly at Newcastle in for the second. 60 minutes, Botman off the crossbar. 61 minutes, Bournemouth and Alex Scott walk the ball into the Newcastle net, 1-1. Poor defending across the board from Newcastle. Pete, we'll go to you for the Bournemouth's goal to make it 1-1.
Yeah. The frustrating thing happened all over again, lads, is that we take the lead and then we just take the brakes off, kind of thing. Oh, sorry, we'll put the brakes on, and we just kind of allow teams to come on to us. I was fully expecting us to go again and just go for them and get the second goal, and we didn't. We just sat back. And the goal, I mean, Bournemouth were going to say it's a well-worked goal, but it's really poor from us. There's really no communication. Everyone's all over the place. I have to say, Kieran Trippier getting back in was really, really poor. When Alex Scott just literally taps it into the net, he puts his arms out to the rest of the defenders, but that's his man. That's his man. There's no blaming other people for that. If he stays with his man and stays goal side of him, he clears that for a corner and we deal with it and we move on. But the fact that he doesn't get back in, the fact that he switches off, just goes to show that there is a level of deterioration from Kieran Trippier. Whether it's because he's not played for a while or whatever it was. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've seen this even before his injury, where he's just not quite on it. He just doesn't seem as kind of switched on in moments like that, and he has been caught before. And yeah, it was a really disappointing goal to concede, and automatically their tails are up after that, and they look a different side for 5 minutes after that point, which is a real disappointment for us. But yeah, we just have a knack of just dropping off when we take a 1-0 lead, and we really need to stop doing that. We need to go for the throat. We've learned our mistakes this season so far. We can't keep making them. So yeah, overall, a really poor goal to concede, and I have to say, it needs to be a lot better from Kieran Trippier there.
Just before we go to you, Chris, and your thoughts on that goal, there's nearly 400 watching between YouTube and X. Make sure you smash that like button and come across to YouTube and get involved in the chat and subscribe to the channel. Chris, thoughts on Bournemouth's goal to make it 1-1?
Yeah, very, very similar to Pete. And I'm glad Pete spoke about Kieran Trippier, because I watched the goal back a couple of times, and yes, it's poor that the ball's come into the box. Yes, on the left-hand side, we could have done better. But Kieran Trippier, as he's approaching, running back, he looks over his shoulder, he sees the player coming, and then he carries on focusing in the goal. And then the player, Alex Scott, just comes in behind him, and then just has an easy tap in. And you're just kind of like, well, and then, like you say, Pete, arms out, and he's like saying to his defence, what are you doing? And it's like, well, if you were on your man, it would never have happened. Yes, the ball shouldn't have come into the box. Yes, on the left-hand side of the pitch, could have done better. No doubt about that. But it wouldn't have been a tap-in if you'd have followed your man. So, there has to be some ownership on that. But yeah, disappointing to concede. And well, so often, isn't it? We take the lead and then it's almost like we switch off a little bit. But yeah, that was about the second or third time during the game where I was thinking, well, one of two things really. Either we've got a half-baked Kieran Trippier and he needs to get his fitness up, or or the second thing I was thinking was, is he done, but has he got that same drive? Has he got that mentality? Because there was a couple of moments where, his man, he got beat by his man, or he was caught out of position and then he tries to recover and he's nowhere near it. He's nowhere near it. So yeah, few concerns from Kieran Trippier tonight, and I wasn't surprised he was subbed, if I'm honest. Maybe it was an off day. Maybe he's needing to get those minutes back on his legs. Who knows? But yeah, not his finest game today by a long stretch.
I'll pick up on that, Chris, and it does look like he's done to me, because if we carry on, because the 6 minutes later, Trips is done for pace as Bournemouth bring the ball up, and Daniel Brooks finishes what he started with a 1-2 and puts in the back of it. It's bad enough going 1-1, but to be then 2-1 down in the space of 6 minutes, crazy. Pete, thoughts on Bournemouth second?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I just want to say about this goal. Look, firstly, it's a fantastic finish from David Brooks. Like a lot of people haven't really talked about that, but it's an absolutely brilliant finish from a Bournemouth perspective. The other thing I was going to mention is that a lot of people were blaming Sven Botman for that goal, and I don't blame Sven Botman for that goal. Kieran Trippier just gets outpaced, and Sven Botman has to come out of position to be able to deal with it, which then drags him out of position, because Sven Botman would be where that ball gets bent in, and you'd back Sven Botman to be able to defend that in that moment. But because he gets dragged out of position, Kieran Trippier has to take on the Sven Botman role, and he doesn't block it, he doesn't get anything in it. If anything, he just gets in Aaron Ramsdale's way. And I toyed with whether Ramsdale could have done more about that goal, but I'm actually thinking about it now. I'm actually not quite sure he could. I just thought it was a great strike, but it could have been defended better. But it just goes to show just the lack of recovery run or the lack of pace going in. We talk about Bruno sometimes in the middle of that lack of pace and how it can really kill us and affect the team. Well, this affected us in this moment with Kieran Trippier not getting back in on the recovery run. And it just goes to show how much pace and acceleration is important in transitions. It's really, really important at how quick he can get back in, because look, he doesn't get back. It drags then Sven Botman out. He's out of position. It's then a great strike. All of these things could have been better. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit shell shocked. I'm a bit like, we were in the ascendancy 1-0, and we were looking like we were going to win. At 1-1, we're thinking, okay, let's go again. And to be 2-1 down at that point, I'm thinking, what is going on here? Like, the Bournemouth curse is happening again. I'm just telling you the thoughts that are running through my mind. The Bournemouth curse is happening again. We can't beat these guys at St. James's Park for some reason, and it's just like, what can we possibly do to get out of this mess? And I was praying for something, a spark of some nature to be able to get us out of this mess at that point. And Daz, I'm sure you're going to talk us through the next parts of the game.
Well, your prayers will be answered, Pete. Don't you worry. But Chris, do you want to say anything about Bournemouth second?
The only thing I'd add to what Pete said is I would just add in, not that I blame Sven Botman, because Pete's right. Kieran Trippier, obviously, man lost. He's dragged out of position. Absolutely, no argument with that. But the only thing that irritated me a little bit was like kind of the lazy lean down. So where like you try to block a shot and then you just kind of put your body in the way as if I'll stop it kind of thing. I don't know. I wanted a bit more, because obviously what Sven Botman does, he thinks David Brooks, who did magnificently, by the way. It was a great finish, really, really smart finish. And obviously the striker, I think it was Evan Nielsen, was kind of in the way. So I don't blame Ramsdale either. But Sven Botman is stood in front of him, and he almost like puts his knee down as if to block the shot, which is great, the fact that he's trying to block it. But in the action that he took, it meant David Brooks could get half a yard, spin past him, and then get the shot off. But I'm not gonna slate Sven Botman, because ultimately Sven Botman shouldn't have been the one having to do that job, and Sven Botman was way over the other side of the pitch, and he's obviously when the goal goes in, he's got his hands in the air, not like the Kieran Trippier one from before when it was blatantly Kieran Trippier's fault. I could see why Sven Botman was doing that, because Sven Botman's had to come over and had to kind of deal with the situation, which he shouldn't have done in the first place. So I just think when Sven watches that back, he'll probably think, maybe I shouldn't have not gone to ground, but you know what I mean? Like he in the action that he took, he basically committed himself and made himself like a standing pillar, because then David Brooks could get the half a yard and Sven Botman couldn't react quick enough because he'd gone down, if that makes sense, to block the shot, which didn't come. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and like to be fair, I hear what you're saying, because when it happened, I thought I had to watch it back a few times to be able to see my opinion on what I gave on it. But I can see what you're saying. He could have done more. What I thought, though, having watched it back, is that when he gets into position, I think he expects Brook to go down his right and Brook's left.
Yeah,
and I think what he does. But because he's having to come across, he almost gets there, and you see him give a little look to his left-hand side. He's almost having to adjust his position.
It's because you saw it.
Yeah, because normally he's more central, but he's had to come out wide to effectively do Trippier's job. So he gets there, and then he readjusts. And in that moment, he kind of, as he looks to the left to see who's with him, Brooks has already cut in and taken the shot. So he doesn't quite get there in time. So I can see why there would be a question mark of Sven Botman, absolutely. But for me personally, I've given him the benefit of the doubt in that moment, purely because he's had to cover Trippier and he's had to readjust his position on a transition to try and get there to stop Brooks just running through on goal. So I can see why people would think that Sven Botman's at fault. I think for me personally, I've just kind of given him the pass on that, because Trippier could have done and should have done a lot more. So I absolutely hear what you're saying. 100%.
Yeah. And to be fair, Pete, and I don't want to put any spoilers, I might go a bit deeper on Sven Botman a bit later on, but we'll come to that a bit later on.
I know what you're going to say.
Well,
yeah.
Every day is a school day, because today I learned that it's David Brooks, not Daniel Brooks. And I had him at Southampton in Football Manager, and I tried to terminate his loan deal. I still called him Daniel. And that's a different story. Let's carry on. 68 minutes. Here comes the big guns. Wisa off, Gordon on. Willock off, J7 on. Trips off, Miley on. Jump forward to 78 minutes, Ramsey off, Bruno on, and Newcastle go all out to find an equalizer. ... 83 minutes, J7 header. After a good move from Newcastle goes over. Bournemouth then applying all the shithousery and time wasting. I wrote that down especially because I wrote the same thing down for Leeds, and I was just trying to make the same thing happen. 88 minutes, Barnes has the ball in the net after a rebound from a Gordon shot, but he was offside, which was the correct decision. 6 minutes of added time. 92 minutes, Tonali taken down by the keeper. Keeper only gets a yellow card as he was trying to go around him. Gordon with the ball, and he is wailing. Can we do this again for the second time this week? 94 minutes. Up steps Anthony Gordon. Back of the net. Gordon won the penalty spot to make it 2-2. Thoughts on the penalty, boys?
What is there else to say? We know how good Anthony Gordon is at taking a penalty. In the build-up to the goal, lovely work from Nick Voltemada. There was questions of whether he meant it or not to let the ball through for Sandro Tonali. I think he did. I think he had the awareness of him being there, which just makes it even more a fantastic piece of work to win the penalty. Sandro Tonali making those runs in and behind. The fact that he still had energy to do that so late in the game, that guy just ran himself into the ground today. I thought he did. He gave every ounce of effort to the cause, and he gets through. Stonewall penalty for me, no questions about it whatsoever. I don't even think the Bournemouth players even argued it. And I'll be honest, I'll put it in the chat to you. I was like, is it Gordon? Is it Voltemada? Is it Bruno going to be taking it? But Gordon's just been an absolute sharpshooter in front of goal from the penalty spot that it was really never in doubt. And as soon as Gordon steps up, the way I feel about him in front of goal for a penalty is that he's going to dispatch it. And again, this lad just knows how to pick the corners. Like Petrovic goes the right way and he still gets nowhere near it, even dives early and still gets nowhere near it. It's literally into the side netting. It's the perfect penalty. It's a perfect penalty. And yes, we got a bit of relief from that. And it was a case of, right, can we go on and win this now? in extra time because I didn't think there'd be any more time to play. But yeah, I think over the balance of play, particularly after their second goal, it was probably just rewards. I think we did press and probe to try and push for that second goal, and I'm just glad that we got it in the time that we did. So it didn't allow us to then sit back on our 18-yard box and let Bournemouth go and attack us again. So the fact that he could score when we did just allowed the game to finish up for extra time.
Chris, your thoughts on?
He's a miracle. Flash.
Chris, thoughts on the?
Fantastic penalty. But what I have to say, and boys, you both will agree with this, we've probably been Anthony Gordon's biggest critics this season, and we've expected him to, stand up, be counted. When Anthony Gordon came on the pitch today, I feel like he changed the whole game. I thought Anthony Gordon was absolutely outstanding when he came on, making those runs, trying to make things happen, taking on his man, asking questions of the defenders. That's the Anthony Gordon we want to see, but week in, week out. And it almost, I don't know about you boys, but, obviously Harvey Barnes has been talk of the tune, hasn't he? Harvey Barnes, and rightly so. I just wonder whether Anthony Gordon's going, do you know what? I want a bit of that. I want to be the main guy. I want to show that I'm the one who can stand up and be counters. And he's done that today, obviously scoring 2 penalties, hasn't he? One in normal play, one in extra time, or after penalties. After extra time. But no, it was an outstanding finish from Anthony Gordon. Really, really good penalty. But as Pete says, we come to expect that now. But yeah, I just wanted to say I thought Anthony Gordon's overall play. It was Anthony Gordon who actually played the ball through, wasn't it? And yeah, I agree with you, Pete. I think Nick Voltemada missed it on purpose. I really do, because he knew it was going to be going into a dangerous area. And you could see that there was an element of shock. And the only person who anticipated where that ball was going to go was Sandro Tonali. And I think that tells you its own story, in the sense that Sandro Tonali's running through because he knows the ball's been played through, and Nick Voltemada's, left it, if you like. And it's carried through. And yeah, Stonewall penalty. But yeah, what a finish. And set up for a grandstand finale.
Not finished yet. Tonali has upped a gear though in this game, and he seems to be back to himself. And we needed all the big guns to make sure that we're still in it. That took us to full time, and then we went into extra time. So into the first half of extra time, Botman after 2 minutes clears it off the line. After 6 minutes, Botman nearly in as a Hall's looping cross. He connects with his head, but just goes wide. Malik Chow down then. Concerns over his status, but he's okay to continue. We don't. They're falling like flies now at this stage. 11 minutes, Tonali nearly in. Good defending to unsettle him before he tried to connect with the ball. 14 minutes, Big Nick tries to put in Barnes again. Very similar to the first goal. A bit heavy with the touch on that one. The pass from Big Nick. So, but he didn't get to it. In the same minute, Ramsdale save when Bournemouth were in. As the half comes to a close. So we're half time now in extra time. 17 minutes, so we're on. A good reaction save by Ramsdale from the volley from Scott. 19 minutes. And another save from Ramsdale. Jimenez he's rapid, and he is causing Hall problems now at this stage. Anyway, 26 minutes, Tonali with the Thunder Bastard just over. He was desperate to score Tonali after he welcomed baby boy this week. 28 minutes, Gordon looping ball, Barnes at the back post to make it 3-2, exactly like how we played out during the week against Leeds. Cue the celebrations all over the shop, but we weren't done there. But lads, thoughts on Barnes' goal to make it 3-2?
This extra time was just so strange, really, really strange one. Is that like by the end of normal time, Bournemouth looked out on their feet. They had people pulling up for cramp. They were all over the place, and they were struggling. We dominated that first half of extra time and looked like the only team that had any energy left in that extra time period. The second half of extra time, it was the complete opposite. Bournemouth had a new lease of life, and we looked like we were like dead out on our feet. And I was worried in that second half of extra time. I thought they were the ones that were more likely to score. And I was thinking, where the hell has this come from? Until Anthony Gordon picks up the ball out on that wide left. There's something about that wide left, the bended ball into the back post that seems to be something that our players know all about. Because Barnes has done it a few times now. Anthony Gordon's done it a few times now, and it don't half make a difference. Because it's a lovely ball to that back post. And Harvey Barnes, who's not really talked about for his heading game, gets up, leaps like a salmon, bang, into the bottom corner. And I just love the fact that he leaps up and just nods it home, and he just runs off so nonchalant with just his arms out like, it's what I do. This is me. This is why you paid 38 million for me. Harvey Barnes, this is what he does. He loves to score goals in there. I thought game was over, lads. I thought game done. We only got 2 minutes left. Surely we'll be able to hang on. Surely we'll be able to hang on for 2 minutes. But it was a lovely goal. Really, really well done. Great ball from Gordon, who did play well. Like you said, he did play well. And he absolutely does want to be the main man. This is the whole point, Chris, is that he wants to be the main man. He always has. When he's at left, Gordon wanted to take on the mantle. Problem is consistency isn't there. So good half or 40 minutes, however much he played off the bench. We need to see that again Wednesday night or Tuesday night against Man City. But it was a great goal. Really, really good goal. We scored some good goals today. Really, really impressed with the way in which we work some of these goals. I'll let you crack on, Chris, before that ruins our fun.
Great finish from Harvey Barnes. Fantastic ball in, as you say, Pete. But yeah, we're coming to expect this now, aren't we? That looping ball into the far post, and it causes no end of troubles, for the defenders and the goalkeeper of the opposition. Obviously, something that's been worked on at set pieces, because obviously, that seems to be where we keep constantly trying to get it to. And if it asks questions of the defenders and the goalkeepers, then keep it coming. But yeah, Harvey Barnes, he was the last person I expected to be on the end of that header. But yeah, he rises like a salmon, as you say. Gets above his defender, and heads it into the far post. And yeah, I think we're all thinking, aren't we? We're all going, yeah, it's done. That's it now. Hang on now for a couple more minutes, and we're home and hosed. But there was one more piece of action, Daz. I believe you're gonna.
There was, and this isn't the action you're referring to, but I was trying to sing, Barnes will tear you apart again. After I tried to send that voice note twice, and I didn't press the button right, I said, I'm not doing it now. And then Bournemouth scored. But yeah, so Bournemouth make it 3-3 through Marcus Tavernier. What did I say? He somehow got the ball in the back of net with Botman, Malik Chow, and Ramsdale trying to prevent him. What do you say about that one?
I think I know what you're going to say, Chris. I'll let you go for it, fella. Go for it.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, do you know what? It ties in nicely with the super chat we've just had. So I'm gonna give the shout out to the super chat. Big thank you to Guebazera. Thank you so much, Guebazera, for your super chat, much appreciated. And Guebazera says Botman did much better than the last match, promising. And I agree, Guebazera. I absolutely agree. I think Botman played much better than he did the last match. However, Sven Botman for that goal could and should have done more. And the reason I say that is because I get what he was trying to do. I understand. But when the ball comes in and we've got Marcus Tavernier running, Sven Botman's trying to hold Marcus Tavernier off. And he's basically saying to his goalkeeper or another defender, come and clear the ball, come and get the ball. Now, to me, And it's split-second decisions, isn't it? And I'm watching it on the TV. I'm obviously not on the pitch. But to me, I'm thinking there's too much time for the goalkeeper to get there. There's too much time for the centre-back to get there. Just get something on it. Clear it for a corner. Get it out for a throw if it's all possible. If you can hook your foot right round, just get rid of the ball. But Sven Botman's holding the player off, and you can see him, his mouth moving, like he's talking, and he's probably saying, to Ramsdale, I think it was Chow who was nearest to him, come and clear it. But they were never going to get there, and it just allows that moment just allows Marcus Tavernier to take advantage of the chaos, because Adam Ramsdale comes out rushing to come and try and claim it or get something on it or whatever. I think Malik Charles are also coming in, and then the three of them somehow collide, and then Marcus Tavernier's like, yeah, I'll just sneak in between you and just poke it in. It's so frustrating because Sven Botman's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to hold the player off, and he's hoping that his goalkeeper or his fellow centre-back is going to come and clear it, when really the best thing to do would have just been to clear your lines, get it out for the corner, get in position and clear the corner or clear the throw, and if you can hook it round. I just think, again, it was just a moment. It was just a moment where, the wrong decision was made, because he's got good intentions, but it's allowed Marcus Tavernier to then slip in and just poke it past. But Pete, you may disagree. What do you think?
No, I look, the way I saw it as it came about is that it was a real poor and a lack of communication between the three of them. Which created the calamity of errors. Now, ultimately, what should have happened is Botman take charge of that situation. He did the hard part. He held off the player, just clear the ball, just get rid of it into touch. We regroup, we defend it out, we see the game out. I'm not sure, though, Chris. I'm not sure if he gets a call from his goalkeeper. I'm not sure, because if he, and the reason why I say this is because if he didn't get a call from his goalkeeper, then what the hell is Ramsdale doing coming out that far? Why is he coming out there to try and claim that ball when he hasn't called for it? It actually doesn't make sense if the goalkeeper's done that and not called and shouted keepers to come and collect it. It doesn't make sense, because if he doesn't call for it, he would stay on his line, which he is a goalkeeper that does that. He tends to stay on his line, right? Yeah. And he then expects his defender to get rid of it. So that's why I'm unsure. That's why I'm unsure of that situation, and why I won't put it all on Sven Botman. Malik Chow's nowhere near it. The fact that he gets as close as he does just shows how quick he is in recovery. So he's really not part of that. But you see the reaction of Sven Botman. His arms out, like, what is going on? Ramsdale's kind of throwing his hands to the floor, and it's just a mess. It's a mess. It's a whole situation. Normally, even it happens, and we do it a lot. And Botman does it a lot. Shaw does it a lot. Byrne does it a lot. Is that even if sometimes the goalkeeper calls, if you're not quite sure, you just deal with it yourself anyway, and then you regroup. But if he's been given that call, that's maybe caused the confusion in there. So that's why I wasn't too sure.
Good point.
On Botman and the lad that I'm assuming it's the lad did the super chat. That comment there, that's important too, because he's just come back in from an injury. He's been out for 3 weeks, and then he's been asked to play off the bench, and then literally played 90 plus minutes, over 100 minutes plus in this game. It's a lot to ask for a centre-back just coming back from injury, but there's no other options right now, and that's the problem that we had. I think they might have considered maybe taking him off and maybe putting Miley in there had Tino Livramento got injured. So it just goes to the issue that we've got right now. So again, it's poor all around, lack of communication. It could have been dealt with better, but I'm not. Obviously, we won the game, so I'm not going to go mad and hammer any one of them, but it should have been handled better. Especially in that moment, lads, where we're right on the cusp of winning. There was literally 1 minute left in the game. As that goes in, it literally hits 1 minute of the added 2. So we're there. We're pretty much there. Just deal with it. Clear your lines, deal with it, and we regroup and we see that game out. And it's just, it's just really frustrating. Really frustrating. One thing I really want to add very quickly is that, yes, we'll probably talk about our defenders not doing the jobs that they're supposed to. Trippier, we've talked about. Bottom, we've talked about. Chow had his moments against Leeds. But I am really concerned, lads, with the lack of protection that they're getting from the midfield. The midfield aren't protecting. The amount of times that Bournemouth caught us on the counter, and it's like 3-on-3, 3-on-2 in situations, and the midfield are nowhere to be seen. And it's a problem because the midfield should be adding the protection there. They should be providing the protection for our defenders so they're not having to front up so many of these problems that they're now facing at the moment. So I think there's an issue there that needs to be dealt with that's a lot bigger than just these individual moments to ensure that the defenders are not put under so much pressure like they are recently. So that was just kind of an additional thing that I just wanted to throw in because I think it's really important when we're analysing some of the defensive performances.
I agree with that from Tino. A fully fit Botman. But again, it goes back to what you were saying, Pete. It's, you know...
Let him get back up to fitness. There.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs games behind him. He's probably going to get more games because of our defensive situation. He needs games behind him. You think this time last year when he came in after an ACL and he was thrown back into the team and then he played 3 or 4 games and ended up tiring out and burning out quite quickly and then was taken back out the team because he was tired. You're looking at this situation and you're thinking, we're putting him under a lot of pressure here to come in and just instantly just pick up from scratch. The same with Tino Livramento. Like these lads need time. And to be fair, we've been critical of Trippier, but him as well. He's been out for 4 or 5 weeks and he's been asked to just kick it back up to gear. Yeah. This wasn't an easy game. Bournemouth are a difficult team to play against, regardless of their position in the Premier League. And so it's not easy, but the key is that we ride through it, we get the win, and then we reevaluate and we move forward. But I do think these boys need protecting a lot more. They do need protecting. The midfield need to do a lot more to protect what happens behind the midfield. Because I'm seeing those doing a lot of high pressing as a 3, but I'm not then seeing us doing the work back to get back in and help. I'm not seeing it. And if that's the case, we need to maybe have someone that just sits and just protects rather than doing this 3-man press in midfield. But that's another conversation for another time.
Well, there's plenty more games to come, and in 3 days' time we have to do it all again. But this game wasn't finished yet because on the 32 minutes, 32nd minute even of extra time, Gordon has one last chance but misses the ball. You thought there were the headlines there if he had got that one. Anyway, it finished full time after extra time, 3-3. I'm going to go straight into the Penos, lads. Feel free to do the actions as we go through each of the Penos. Gordon makes it 1-0 Newcastle. Tavernier scores to make it 1-1. Big Nick, thinking, is he going to do one of these fancy ones that he did the last night?
I thought that, yeah.
He hits the crossbar, still remains 1-1. Ever Nielsen, saved by Ramsdale, remains 1-1. Surely now we're going to kick on from here. Bruno, who scored in against Leeds, Bruno's penalty was saved. Still 1-1. Then Cooks scores to make it 1-2. Tonali then steps up to make it 2-2. Jimenez then his penalty is saved by Ramsdale. It remains at 2-2. We are all square. J7 steps up, scores, make it 3-2. Sensini scores to make it 3-3. Hall scored to make it 4-3. Hill scores to make it 4-4. Miley scores to make it 5-4. Trufford scores to make it 5-5. Barnes scores to make it 6-5. Smith scores to make it 6-6. We could be here all night. Malik Chow, we didn't have a great game against Leeds, as we mentioned. He steps up and scores his penalty to make it 7-6. Diante, then his penalty is saved by Ramsdale. The heroics of Ramsdale in this penalty shootout, saving 3 and getting us safely through into the 4th round. Final result, Newcastle win 7-6 on Penos. Cue the relief. Boys, thoughts?
The players that you'd expect to put the ball in the back of the net didn't. And that was the biggest surprise of it all, to be honest with you. Nick Voltemada, you could say he was unlucky, but it is tight when you're going for those balls right into the high parts of the goal. It is fine margins, and he hits the bar. Unlucky. Bruno's penalty was poor. It could have been better and should have been better. You've got to put it into the corners now with these goalkeepers. Anything other than that, and you're giving them a 50% chance to save. These goalkeepers are a lot better at saving penalties now than previous. But I have to say, really, really impressed. Gordon aside, we expect that from Gordon, but Malik Chow, really good penalty. Calm and calculated with it, right into the corner, no chance. Lewis Hall, really good technique. Louis Miley, brilliant penalty. Really well taken. Harvey Barnes, good penalty as well. We really were composed with our penalties, and I have to say, props to Bournemouth. Bournemouth had some good penalties as well. They took some really nice penalties. But with regards to the penalty shootout, the praise has to go to Rambo. As much as we question him. In the game and whether he was at fault for one or two of the goals, whatever it may be, he was a big reason why we won that. And 3 really well saved penalties, but not just that, lads. Even the ones that went in, he got close to.
Close.
Yeah.
On about 2 or 3. Yeah.
There was one where you probably think, he gets a hand on it. Could he get a little bit more on it? And it was really unlucky. But there was talk in the Mags Down South chat. We were kind of saying, should we with the extra sub, should we sub on Nick Pope for the last minute, do a Tim Krul with Louis Van Gaal? He did Holland and sub him on because we know how good he is at penalties. But saying that, Aaron Ramsdale saved a penalty. I think it was against Espanyol in the preseason friendly. So he's got his own credentials of saving penalties. He saved 3 tonight as well. So fair play to him. Fair play to him, because he's a big reason why we're into the next round. 3 really well saved penalties, could have saved more. And as I say, the main thing at this point, my heart was racing like mad going through all of that, just because obviously watching it through legal means isn't quite up to the second. So you're waiting. And you're anticipating, and you're like, every time you're waiting for their punch, you're like, please. And they kept scoring, God's sake, come on. And then where you just see that just pushed away by Ramsdale, and he gives the old salute to the fans. It's like, yes, into the next round. Doesn't mean we're going to win it, but you want to be in the next round of things, and you want us to be fighting on 4 fronts for as long as possible. And it's a great feeling. Into the next round. We're in the hat, lads. Every cup draw actually means something for us moving forward. Happy days all round.
Yeah, when we've done all that hard work and put so much effort into this game, going out at that stage would just be a total disaster, especially with the injury to Tino as well. But Chris, your thoughts on the Penos?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Great that it fell our way. On Nick Voltemada's penalty, and maybe I'm a bit more I'm a bit more sympathetic, with players who hit the crossbar or the post, because I always think it's fine margins. It's the ones where they blaze it over, or they just simply do a weak shot into the goalkeeper. Those annoy me. But when someone tries to get it high, and, it just hits the crossbar, or maybe, right in the corner, but it just hits the post, I always give them a little bit of credit, because I think, you know what? It is fine margins. So I always think it's harsh, people missing a penalty when it's hit a post or a crossbar, personally. I never class it as like you've missed a pen. It's just more like, it was unfortunate kind of thing. I was more annoyed at Bruno's penalty more than anything, because I expected better. And obviously Bruno hit a fantastic penalty for us against Leeds, didn't he? So I was expecting better from Bruno for his penalty. But yeah, some of the penalties that were taken were brilliant. And Ramsdale, he got his fingers to so many. It was so many. I'm sure it was at least 2 or 3, if not more, of their penalties. He was that close to saving them. So no, great that it fell our way. great that we got through, obviously, into the next round. And I'll be honest, boys, I had the Carabao Cup vibes, because you'll remember, Pete, we always talk about it, you know, the at the City ground, you know, when we got through against Nottingham Forest, and it took us to penalties to get through, and I was a bit like, ooh, could this be will we look back on this game and go, do you remember when we just got through against we just got through against Bournemouth by the skin of our teeth? We could look back, boys, and be thinking that when we're at Wembley for the FA Cup final. But who knows? But now I'm made up to go through.
It won't be against Notts Forest anyway in the next round, that's for sure, Chris.
That's true.
Yeah, for me watching the Penos, the stream stopping. But I remember saying to call Luke in to watch it with me, and when J7 stepped up, I said, this could go anywhere. It could end up on our lawn here. Just, you know, sometimes he can do the unexpected. But I know he had a good penalty. But safely through into the next round. Let's have a look at the team photo, boys, because that's come out as we're live. Here it is.
Get in. Love it. Good to see Tino at the back as well in the photo. He's at the back. Next to Ramsdale. So good that he's in there. Obviously, we'll talk about him in a second, but great to see another team photo.
Under the ED of United, that looks like the chefs. Who are they?
Oh, I think we're getting the whole club staff in here now. Yeah. The whole club staff involved.
Everyone's
we'll soon be in it. We'll soon be in that.
Why not? Eh? Why not? Love it. Absolutely love it. I look. You know what I love? I love the fact that James Bunce and Ross Wilson are in it as well. Like, it's not, it never looks like it's overstepping the mark. It's like Eddie Howe clearly sees them as part of what we're building here, because they're involved in everything. It's not like, you know, where you get some owners like Marinakis, for example, at Forest, where they get involved and they're not welcome. Like, they just do it because they're the owners or whatever, and they're enrolled. It seems like Eddie Howe really incorporates James Bunce. He's really involved in everything. He's one of the first guys down onto the touchline and mixing with the players after the game. He does the walk around with everybody. Ross Wilson seems already pretty well knitted with all of these players, and he already feels like he's really much a part of what we're trying to build here, which is great to see, because we've got the people above Eddie Howe, like Ross Wilson. I mean by that's really integral into the fabric of what Eddie Howe's trying to build. So this can only mean a good thing for us lads moving forward. And it's really, really good to see. So I've liked seeing Ross Wilson and James Bunce for the last year, but Ross Wilson this season, I've loved seeing him as part of the celebrations with things. It's good.
Well, Ross Wilson, you know what you have to do in these next couple of weeks. Right, let's get some comments and questions.
Let's get them in, boys. Let's get them in. Right, okay. So let's go straight into it. I like this from Jumpers for Goalposts. It's the first one that I starred. Jumpers for Goalposts says, surely we need to buy defensive cover. Daz?
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I wondered, like we were talking about centre backs the other day when the injury to Shar. Do we need to go for someone on the right now? I don't know. Interesting tweet there from Graham Bailey earlier on Scalvini, player I mentioned the other day on one of our shows. Could we go back in for him? Let's see. But yeah, we need to some kind of defensive cover because we're losing a player each game. So what can we do?
Yeah. And Pete, similar vein, similar thing, but Benny Boy also adds to that. Burns, Shaw, and now Livramento out for a while. We can't rely on 35-year-old Trippier during such a hectic period in the season. We absolutely need to send defensive signings with threadbare. What are you, if you're the Newcastle United owners, Pete, or the recruitment team, or Eddie Howe? What are you thinking at this very moment? You've seen what's happened with Tino Livramento. You've obviously been very unfortunate with what looks like a hamstring injury. What are you thinking? Are you thinking you've got to move a couple of bodies out in order to bring people in? are you thinking, let's just bring in additions? Or obviously we don't know the intricacies. We don't know how much we've got on the wage bill. We don't know how much we've got to play with, and we don't know, the financials, if you like. But are you doing it at all costs, or are you thinking, right, well, let's move on the likes of Emil Crafts, let's maybe move on the likes of Kieran Trippier? What are you thinking in terms of bringing in these defensive reinforcements, and what positions are you looking at, particularly in defence this January?
So if Ross Wilson and Eddie Howe this evening are not having serious conversations about pressing the button on signings, then we're doing it all wrong. This needs to be a reaction to what happened today. I'm gutted for Tino Livramento. It's another injury. Thankfully, it's not his knee again. It's his hamstring, which, hopefully is maybe a couple of weeks, because hamstrings are normally a couple of weeks minimum. If it's gone, depending on how bad it is, it could be a month. And a month is too long for us right now. We've got too many games and too many important games to be missing in key important players to the squad in the first team. So if they're not seriously talking about it, then we're doing something wrong. And to be fair to him, Dom Skur asked the question tonight after the game, and I'll read it out. He said, asked Eddie Howe if NUFC were taking a risk by not being proactive in the transfer market amidst the injury crisis. Howe says, no, I don't think so. I think the club have taken the right stance so far. We'll assess it on a day-to-day basis, so let's see. That answer and that response from Eddie Howe says to me that he is now seriously considering whether we need to go into the market or not. And I think in the next week, we'll start to hear noises of Newcastle United are looking at a defender, this, that, and the other. What needs to happen clearly is Jamal Lascelles, and Eddie Howe was quite open in his press conference saying that there's a high chance he leaves this month. He's on 80 plus grand a week, and Newcastle United a lot of wages for a fifth choice centre back. Get him out the club, and I think he'll move out, whether it's now or towards the end of the window. We'll recoup that 80 grand a week, and we'll put that towards somebody that will come in. I think Emil Kraft will leave when he's probably back up fit and running. I think these two players will probably leave towards the end of the month, but we cannot afford to wait for players to leave in order to bring a player in. We need to act now and then do our outgoings at a later date whenever we can get a deal done for those players. So for me, at this moment in time, look, there's an argument there that a centre-back is absolutely needed. We don't know. I think Eddie Howe said Dan Burn is a few weeks away. It's a conundrum for Newcastle, because ultimately we probably need a centre-back and a full-back. I actually think we probably need both. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, and if it was me, I would be actioning both this month. I would be actioning a fullback coming in, whether it's a right fullback or a left fullback, whoever it is. I'd be getting a fullback in, and I would be getting a centre back in as well. I think a fullback I'd be getting in is someone that is not necessary, is maybe like a backup, someone that can come in and play in the squad and be that guy. That can come in and do a job for the squad, but someone that you can depend on. We talked about in the transfer show, Dayan Mathali from Toulouse, someone that you could maybe bring in, or someone of that ilk, but then he's still recovering from his injury. Do you then go and get somebody else? The point that I'm making is that my centre-back target would be me bringing my summer window forward. I would be bringing in someone that's ready to go. So I would be buying somebody. I mean, we talked about Scalvini. Scalvini's had his injury problems himself, and I think has only just been back playing regularly. So again, you're buying a player that you're probably still taking a chance on. So whether we go for him or not is another question. What I would be saying, though, is whoever you are looking at as your summer target, can we go and get them this month? I'll be honest with you, lads, and it sounds really far-fetched, but all this noise about Mark Gay, will he go here? Will he go there? For me, I'd be putting 40 million on the table and asking the question. I'm not saying we'll get him, because Man City linked with him, Arsenal apparently linked with him, this, that, and the other, all these teams. But we need a player to go now that can come in and actually play. He could play both sides, left and right. And
no brainer there.
it's clear that he's probably going to leave this month. Do we just go and ask the question? They want 40 million. Man City ain't willing to pay 40 million. Arsenal probably don't need him right now, but I think they're just trying to sign him so Man City don't. Do we go and ask the question on someone like him? Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying we're getting, but I'm saying, like, if you're looking at a player that's there ready to go, he's a no-brainer, and we know there's a chance that he'll move. So do we just action that? I don't know. But look, I think Ross Wilson will be looking along Europe for his players, and it's whether those players are going to be available right now to be able to do the business. But I would be signing a first-choice centre-back to come in right now this month and a backup fullback. That's ultimately what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, me personally, I agree. I think we should be looking at a fullback. A fullback who could play both sides would be perfect. But I'll be looking at a fullback and definitely a centre back. And if Jamal Lascelles is going, as has been indicated, then you would hope that surely the saving of those wages that sorts your fullback, your centre back out. And then even at fullback, you could look at Kieran Trippier. You could look at Matt Target, maybe making like a permanent deal for Matt Target. I don't know. Maybe that's far fetched. I'm not sure, but either way. I do think we need two defensive players to be coming in sooner rather than later, because what we don't want to do, boys, is that window to slam shut and, Dan Burn suffers a setback. Tino Livramento's out for 3 months. And then all of a sudden, you're relying week in, week out on the likes of Lewis Hall and Sven Botman. And I think, recent history has shown us that perhaps we keep seeing it with Lewis Hall. Every opportunity, Eddie Howe will rest Lewis Hall. He won't keep playing him and playing him and playing him because he knows that there's a danger, that he might pick up a hamstring or, anything might happen. And then you lose him for a sustained period. And at the moment, if we were to lose a Lewis Hall, Kieran Trippier has only just come back in. Tino Livramento is out. And then if you've got Lewis Hall out as well, and Dan Burn, who are you playing left back? And this is the issue. This is the issue that we've got. So yeah, for me, I think we do need to go into the window.
Just when you mentioned about the window slamming shut, it will slam shut at 7 p.m. on the 2nd of February, and that's a Monday because the 31st falls on the weekend. The 31st is the night we play Liverpool, so at least it won't have a clash with that. So 2nd of February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
mark that in your diary.
Right. So Tino says, Tonali gave in heart where he lacked in sharpness tonight. The beast is making his return. It was a much improved performance from Sandro Tonali. I'm sure you'll both agree. Promising to see. And obviously he's had his baby, which is brilliant. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see an improved performance from Sandro Tonali. He'll be focused on his it would be fully focused now on his football completely. Now he's got his lovely new arrival. So fingers crossed we start to see the best of Sandro Tonali. But yeah, you could tell he wanted his goal today. You could definitely tell because he was pinging shots from everywhere, wasn't he? And he was close.
We need more of that. We need more of that.
Of course we need.
He's more than capable. There's one just before the end of the game. I think in normal time where he hits it from like 25 yards or something, it just goes over the bar, and it's like that's what he's capable of. Like we need more of that. We need more players. Miley's capable of that. Miley picked up the ball a couple of times on the edge of the box and played the simple pass where he could have had a pop from goal, and he can hit it from outside the area. We need more of those players. We need a different type of goal. We can't always work it into the box where it's crossed in and there's a tap in or there's a headed goal or whatever. We need different types of goals. So we need somebody that's got the power and the ability to hit it from distance. He is absolutely one of them. So yeah, the more we see of that from Sandro Tonali, the better, because you've seen Bruno Guimaraes. He's close to getting double figures this season in goals. Joe Linton started to score a few. We need Tonali in the action as well. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to merge this because we are talking about Sandro Tonali. I'm going to talk about another central midfielder today as well. And that's come from Jimmy Watt. He says, for me, I think it's time to cash in on Willock. I mean, Jimmy, if you're a regular watcher of the show, you'll know that we fully agree with you on that one. He looked like Willock was making sure he didn't get injured and pulled out of a lot of challenges today. Also, we saw Binnick and Mick. Thank you for your comment, Mick. I feel sorry for Willock. He tries. He just isn't good enough. We've also got, boys, which kind of feeds into your... So I'll come to you first, Pete, because it fed into your comment earlier when you were talking about, the midfield protecting the defence. And attacker number 2, great to have you in the chat, attacker number 2. Attacker number 2 says, Willock and Ramsey had 3 defensive contributions between them. That's the problem. Sandro Tonali had 10.
Yeah,
so that tells its own story, does it not?
And it is part of the problem because Sandro Tonali defensively in recoveries is very, very good. But at times, I just feel this season our midfield is too fluid. Eddie Howe likes his team to be very fluid, like in its motion. So our midfielders at times are all in different positions. So Sandro Tonali might go pressing out on the right. And this happened actually in the first half. So Sandro Tonali goes pressing out on the right. Joe Willock's kind of in the middle, but in sort of like the number 10 position where Nick Voltemada should be. And then Jacob Ramsey's almost playing as the number 6. You don't really want him there. And the next minute, they're at opposite ends. So, like, Jacob Ramsey is the furthest forward, and Sandro's on the right, and Willock's in defence. And it's like, it's kind of all over the place. And actually, when you lose the ball and you're in the transition where you need to defend, it's really hard to get back into position if you're not in or anywhere near where you should be. And it creates gaps. Now, if you look at that midfield 3, Sandro Tonali is only really the only one that's defensive-minded. He's the only one that has the ability to defend transitions. So it puts us under pressure. So when you've got Sandro pressing forward and really pushing on, it actually becomes a problem for Newcastle, which is why when I was talking about it earlier, in the midfield doesn't protect the defence enough. I think it needs to be called that Eddie just says to Sandro, just sit. Let Willock and Jacob Ramsey do that pressing, and you just sit. So when there's a transition, we've at least got one defensive-minded midfielder in there, and then it's their job to come back in and help you. We need that, and we've talked about it two, maybe 3 years ago, of having just a defensive-minded number 6 to go in there and just stop everything from happening. Just like, for example, Aston Villa. I keep using Aston Villa because they are a team that we're kind of back and forth with. They've got Boubacar Kamara, who you ain't going to see him get forward and press high and arrive in the box and do all those things. What you are going to see him do is just sit there and break things up. And it allows John McGinn, it allows Amadou Onana, and it allows Tielemans to go and do their business because they know he's just going to sit in and do his job. We're kind of missing that because Sandro Tonali, although he does it and does it well, it's not really his position. Like, you can tell he wants to be free. He wants to go out and roam and press and push forward and do all those bits because that's a part of his game too. So if we were to bring someone in like that was more defensive-minded, that could just sit, it would maybe give Sandro a little bit more free rein to be that additional midfielder that is pressing high, because he does press high, he works hard, he battles, he can win balls high up the pitch. And if you've got him on one side and Bruno on the other, both doing that job, and you've got a destroyer. So yeah, Leone's literally just put it on as I said it. You've got a destroyer that just stops everything from happening. Then you're in a really good position to be able to stop those transitions, and you're gonna concede less goals, and your defenders, more importantly, like your Botmans and your Chows, are gonna be protected more, and they're not gonna concede the type of goals that we've conceded recently. An Everton type player, absolutely. It cost a fair bit to get him in, and I love the guy. I think he's brilliant. And there are others out there. This is not the only one. There was lots of other destroyers out there. Casey is exactly that. Declan Rice isn't quite that. He's more of a Sandro Tonali. He likes to progress forward and get into the box. But there's that. There's a bit of breaking news.
That's a good show.
There's a bit of breaking news, lads. Craig Hope said he understands that significant progress has been made on Sven Botman's contract talks in recent weeks, with a long-term deal close.
Ooh,
that's fucking great news. That is great news. I've been worried about that for months. You boys know this about him. He's only got a year left in June on his contract. So if a long-term deal's close, that is brilliant news. So just wanted to bring that because it just popped up just as I was talking there. So sorry to interrupt there, Chris.
No.
That's important. Important news. Just back to it for a second. I'm going to go back to your question in a second, Chris. But if we were allowing Tonali to move further forward and out of that number 6 kind of role, Lamine Kamara is another one. The one we talked about on Fully Loaded Transfer Show. At the first one that we did this, he'd be perfect in that position as well. Senegal International 21, 22 on the 1st of January. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Yeah, I know we needed to rotate players for the games coming up, but I don't think Ramsey and Willock in the same team is in the same midfield is a good idea. But it needs most today. We had to try something different. Willock didn't have his great game. Didn't have a great week about a week ago as well. With the crap that was going on, but I did on Jacob Ramsey. I thought he did okay today. He was a bit more involved, and he is kind of the Willock replacement in a way. I can't see the both of them on the pitch at the same time. Just not.
Yeah. Just to touch on what you've both said. Yeah, I agree. I think. Eddie Howe, somebody put it in the chat. I don't know whether this is a quote from his press conference. Maybe it is, because he was asked about the midfield 3, and he said he wants 3 number 8s, if you like, who all do that role. They can all be a 6, and it goes back to what you were saying, Pete, about the 3 of them rotating. But it's funny, isn't it? Because how often this season have we seen maybe 2 or 3, possibly 4 base from Sandro Tonali, and Claire G puts it in the chat here. Tonali won the penalty. Tonali through the middle. It's almost as if Tonali must shout to the 2 of them and go, "Right, I'm going." Yeah. Now that's great because you want someone of Sandro's ability in those forward positions because we know how dangerous he is. But as you mentioned, Pete, if we lose it in transition, you're then asking a Jacob Ramsey or a Joe Willock, in the case of today, to do Sandro Tonali's job, and neither of them are going to do it anywhere near as well as Sandro Tonali. Now, that's not their fault, but they're not built like that. If you had 3 Sandro Tonalis, that'd be great because, any one of them could fill. How often were we talking, boys, about Bruno sitting in the 6? Bruno sitting in the 6 for the right game would probably be okay. But for certain games, it's an absolute disaster. It's a disaster because he's not got that recovery. He doesn't have the engine. Go on, Pete.
There's only one man that can do that right now in this Newcastle midfield other than Sandro Tonali, and it's Louis Miley. But the problem is that Louis Miley's playing so well at right back, and we need him there, that he can't play that role because the ideal midfield 3 for me, and this is no slight on Joe Linton, is Miley in the 6, Tonali on the left, Bruno on the right. So Bruno and Sandro can go and do that. They can go and press high and pick up little pockets of space. Bruno can thread those balls through. Sandro can arrive late in the box and do what he did to win the penalty because that's part of his game. You watch him at AC Milan, he's doing that as well. He's playing in that 8 and he's driving forward and he's trying to make things happen. He's almost being stopped and protected and told to play a certain role in the 6, but he wants to be freer. But having Miley in there, and Miley's defensive now massively, significantly improving in the last 3 or 4 months, actually, he's the ideal situation. But even then, you probably want another destroyer in there because Miley likes to get forward too. There's a world where you've got, and this is just hypothetical, by the way. There's a world where you've got an Edison, a Tonali, and a Miley as part of your midfield 6, and you've got 3 players that can be destroyers in that role, but all 3 of them can play 8s too. And so what you've got there is you've got transition to move them around with a Joe Linton and a Bruno Guimaraes. And on top of that, and a Jacob Ramsey, but on top of that, there's always more than one destroyer potentially in there. And you can have Sandro Tonali, but he's got the running power to get back in and be a second destroyer. Miley can do that job. Edison, for example, could do that job. And what you've got is protection for your back 4. And that's the thing that I think we're lacking right now, is that real quality level of protection that we're missing. And that's why we're conceding more chances and ultimately more goals. So I do think it will happen. I actually do think it will happen. I don't think it will all happen in January, but I think that's part of what the transition will be in the summer moving forward into next season, is that we will bring in a couple of more that can play destroyer role as a number 6, but also play that number 8 and be able to get forward and have the best of both worlds. Because a lot of the top midfield, in European football have those types of players, multiples. It's key. It's so important.
And like, I'm just playing off what you're saying here, people. Like, Tonali would have seen that Bruno was our number 6, and now he's free and he's scoring regularly. He might be thinking, I want to be that too, and maybe that's how it will feed in as well. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? But next question, Chris.
Right, let's see, boys. Where are we? Colton Connor. Colton, thank you so much. Been a member for a month. Welcome. Ramsdale won us the match. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. He did really, really well with the penalties, really, really well, and made some important saves in the game as well. So no, fair play to Mambo today. Got us through to that next round with his heroics in goal. So well done to him. Right, where are we? And then on the next breath, James Walbridge. Ramsdale is good at pens, but my God, he's terrible in open play. Doesn't sweep, doesn't claim crosses, no presence. Think Trafford is a must in the summer. Now, boys, Daz, I'll come to you on this. I think we've discussed this in a little bit of detail, haven't we? Saying that we don't think Adam Ramsdale will be kept on because we don't think Newcastle will want to pay the 20 million fee it will cost to keep him here permanently. But do you think Trafford's been and gone now? Do you think the wages he's on at City kind of puts him out of our stratosphere? Because there's rumours, isn't there, that James Trafford's on like nearly 200 grand a week at City? Like, we're not going to go there, are we? Surely.
I don't think he's on 200 grand a week. I think he's on 50 is what I heard.
50.
That's what I read somewhere. It's definitely not 200. James Trafford. No, it's definitely not 200. But this is the second time I've been asked a question about Ramsdale and signing up for Newcastle, because my 8-year-old asked me the question after he did the heroics and the penalty shootout. You have to sign it now, and I said, no, I don't think so. I think we still go out and bring in an alternative keeper in the summer and have Popey as our number 2. For that for me, and like, but we, in our conversation with Antonio Mango, he said that there's not a great market for goalkeepers at this moment in time. So this is where the scouting team will really earn their money, finding us a goalkeeper, one for now and for the future. That comes hopefully straight in.
Pete, we're still looking for that number 1. Do you think it's James Trafford, or do you think we'll move on from James Trafford?
I think we'll move on from James Trafford. A couple of the reporters were talking about it last week, I believe, and they were saying James Trafford's on significant wages at Man City. I think it is more, from what they were saying, it was more than the 50,000 that you mentioned. As I think
I've put it in our chat there. It's Google. James Trafford earns approximately 50 grand per week, totaling to around 2.6 million annually after signing a 5-year contract with Man City in 2025.
Well, from what the reporters were saying, he's on significantly more than that. But I do think that James Trafford is one that we probably need to move past. I think we need more of an assured goalkeeper, more of an assured number 1 to come in. I think if he'd have come in on the back of his championship season, I would have been all for it, and he could have built with us. Yeah. I think what's happening with Man City, and it doesn't look like right now that he's going to move. He's just sitting there as being a number 2. I think this is not good to be signing James Trafford to be our future number 1, in my opinion. If I'm being honest with you, a goalkeeper is so important. I'd be going and pushing the boat out and going and getting an expensive goalkeeper. I actually think we need to go and get an experienced goalkeeper. So someone just put Kobal in the chat, and I would absolutely go and get someone like him. He's an experienced goalkeeper. What is he? I think he's close to 30 now, 30 years old. I think we need to go and get an experienced goalkeeper that's still got 3 or 4, maybe 5 years left at the top level in his game, But I do feel like a goalkeeper needs to have a level of experience to play at the top level, and I would potentially go out and get someone of that ilk, someone of that age. Mike Maignan still hasn't signed a new contract at AC Milan, although they're trying to. He's a player at 30 years old that I'd be looking at too. Someone with that level of experience. I think he's only got 6 months left on his contract. You know, a goalkeeper like that has experience. You don't always have to sign young players to come in, because as I've mentioned to you on previous shows, having a full squad or a significant level of the squad that are really young players is actually not good. You only have to look at the likes of what Chelsea are doing. We need to bring our average age down, and that's okay. We can bring our average age down, but we don't need to bring it down to crazy young. So we've got loads of young players, because then it lacks experience and it lacks know-how. So we need players in there with experience and know-how to be able to mold and mesh with these young players. There has to be a balance here. So I do think in certain areas you need to buy experience. In goalkeeper, I absolutely think, thank you, Mr. Linkfield. He's 28, Cobal. That's just one example, by the way. There are others. Mike Magnan's another one that I would look at too. And there's others out there. There's Diogo Costa at Porto that I would look at as an experienced goalkeeper. There's others that you could look at. But I do think that there's one position that we need to go with experience. So no, I wouldn't go for Trafford. Although I liked what I saw at Burnley, I wouldn't go for him now due to what he's gone through. I'd be going beyond that. And Ramsdale, for as good as he did today, and he was brilliant today, I don't see him signing for Newcastle United. I think he goes back to Southampton and gets signed elsewhere.
I have a question for you boys. And I know you the answer would probably be yes, but how can we make it happen? Would you go in the summer with an offer for Robin Roofs, Sunderland goalkeeper, who had heroics as well in the penalty shootout against Everton today? He's good, boys, as we know. How do we do that?
It's never happening.
No.
It's never happening. Look, he's a fantastic goalkeeper. Sunderland did good with him. They got a fantastic deal getting him in. And there was a lot of top teams looking at him at the time, which is fair play to Sunderland. But there's no way that Newcastle United would look at him. There's no way that Sunderland would sell him. And even if they were willing to sell him, they're not willing to sell him at a reasonable price. They are going to put 20 million above market value on top of him to ensure that it's worth the money for Sunderland. It's just a deal that wouldn't happen. It's the same with Jordan Pickford. Like, he just wouldn't happen, even at Everton coming to Newcastle for similar reasons. With any Sunderland link, I know it used to happen back in the day, Lee Clark's and various others in the 90s, etc. But it's the rivalry is even more rife now than ever. Those type of deals are just not going to happen. So they've got a great goalkeeper. Fair play to him, but yeah, it's a shame that he plays in that red and white.
It is. Right, 2 more questions, boys. But first, Meza Kingify. Thank you so much for becoming a member. A loaded ultra. Love that, Meza Kingify. Right, let's see. 2 more questions, boys. Where am I? Yes, this one has been brought up, but we're gonna bring it up again. Maybe it's a little bit of frustration. I did laugh because Andrew Ford literally took the words out my mouth. You'll know I put this in the chat earlier, boys. If we can get 60 to 70 million for Tino in the summer, I'd definitely sell him. Great player, but he's made of glass. Pete, what are your thoughts on Tino? I do this all the time. I did hear a quote from somebody. I can't remember who the quote was, but they were talking about Newcastle preparing for life without Tino Livramento already, knowing that Manchester City are going to come in with a big bid in the summer, and it might be difficult to keep hold of him. But what are your thoughts on Tino? And obviously, very, very disappointing for him today.
Yeah, it's a massive concern. It is. The amount of injuries he's getting. The amount of injuries he's had this season is a concern, because he's such an important player, and you know if you're going to miss your some of your most important players for this amount of time, for this length of time, and in particular, lads, in this crucial part of the season, you've got to then, as a club, you've got to reevaluate it in that, is this the right decision to keep him here? If you do get ridiculous money from Man City, and I'll be honest with you, lads, seeing these injuries this season, I'm not sure Man City will show the same enthusiasm to take it, because it is a concern. And you look at Man City, they've got Gvardiol out, they've got John Stones that's constantly injured, that they're trying to get rid of. They had massive injuries with Kyle Walker, and they managed to get rid of him. They've got Diaz, who's one of their main centre-backs, that's constantly injured all the time right now. Then they've had their issues with Rodri. They don't need to sign a young player like Tino Livramento at 22, 23 years old, that's got a massive injury history, and pay big whack for him. At this moment in time, right now, in January 2026, I don't see that deal to Man City happening, because he's not proving his fitness. If he comes back from this hamstring injury and plays the rest of the season, and then the World Cup off the back of that, then it might be a different story. But at this moment in time, I'm actually not worried about him leaving, because I don't think that Man City will put that level of money down that we would want to part with Livramento for. I just don't think they will, because his injury record's too high. And it's a concern, lads. It's a concern. It's just, we're so protective of Lewis Hall because of the same reasons, because he keeps breaking down with his hamstrings. Like, it is a concern, and this is why other players need to be brought in. People are talking about Sven Botman. He's only had one injury this season. Tino's had 3. Hall's had 2. And they've been longer-term injuries. So Botman's got a lot of shade on social media today after that game. I didn't think he played that bad. There's question marks about 2 moments in the game, that whether they were his fault or not. There's question marks. I don't think they absolutely directed at him. But he's a lad that's only had one injury for 3 weeks, and now he's back playing. Whereas Tino and Hall don't get the same. They don't get the same hammerings, because, but they've had more and more niggly injuries that are out for longer periods of time. It is a concern. We need to seriously look at it, and we need to make sure that our backups to these players are of a significant quality, because unfortunately, lads, it might not be the last time that it happens between now and the end of the season. We need to make sure that we're prepared and ready to deal with it, because it is a big concern.
Absolutely. And Daz, I'm going to throw the last question to you, mate. And it's made up of 2 questions. Lee Jones says, who do you fancy in the next round? Would you take the Mackhams to get revenge ASCP? And Alan Thompson says, lads, I've just got a feeling we're going to get Sunderland in the next round. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I hope it's on the normal, usual TV channels. Yeah. It's my first thought. I hope it's at home as well, because you know why. And after that, I don't really mind who we get. I take Sunderland. Yeah, we owe them a beating after the Derby game. We'll definitely have that in March anyway. But yeah, why not again get it done earlier? But yeah, don't really mind who we get. Just happy we're through to the next round. When is the draw actually? Is it on tomorrow? I don't know.
Possibly tomorrow. I don't know if there's any games on Monday. But yeah, it could be tomorrow or Monday.
I think there is a game on Monday, but I'll Google that while we're.
I'm just looking now.
Bournemouth is on Monday, so it might be on Monday.
It's Monday. It's Monday. The draw is going to be made at Anfield ahead of the last match in the 3rd round between Liverpool and Barnsley. So it's going to be about 6:35. Do you reckon? Yeah. Monday night.
Cool.
Stay tuned.
And conductors are Stephen Gerrard and Joe Cole.
So expect Newcastle away at Anfield then. That's just to throw my 2 pence in. I know I don't want Sunderland. You know what I want Macclesfield at home. Grimsby at home. We need a game where there's less emphasis on it, we could have done with a lesser tie today to kind of bed players through, still get through the round and be able to just ease players through. If we're going to fight on 4 fronts, we need to make sure that these games, these extra games, are not too straining for us. I'm looking at, I think Grimsby won today. Grimsby beat Western-super-Mare 3-2. I'd take them at home. Macclesfield beat Palace, the best shock of FA Cup history, knocking out the holders, a part-time team. I'd take them at home. I'd even take Leicester at home. Why not? Leicester, I'd give them another beat down just to get my one-upmanship on the local lads that I hang around with. That's what I want.
Wrexham, Pete. Wrexham.
No, because Wrexham are a decent side. I love Wrexham. Honestly, I've got a lot of respect for Wrexham. Love what they're doing and what they're building as a club, and hopefully they'll be in the Premier League in the next few years. But I know I wouldn't, because they're a potential banana skin. I want more of a sure thing. I want Grimsby and Macclesfield to come up to St James Park, have a great day, great experience. It's on TV. And then we go and do our business, and we win the game, playing the likes of Ramsey and a few others who are given a run out as maybe fringe players. That's what I want to see, so we can rest the big guns to make sure that we're ready for those Premier League games, Champions League games, the other games that might mean a little bit more. That's what I want.
Good stuff. Boys.
That is it. There was about 700 people watching there a second ago. Across both YouTube and X. As we said, make sure you smash the like button, jump into YouTube and click the like button there as well. It'll only take you a second. Hit subscribe while you're at it, and you will get notified then of other shows that will be coming up pretty fast. That is it for tonight. Thanks for sticking with us safely through. No doubt about it at all, really. We will see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, everyone.
Come on.
A bit of Nick to see us out.
Come on, move a little closer. Come on, I wanna hear you whisper. Come on, settle down inside my love. Accidentally in 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 love. Accidentally I'm love. Accidentally, come on, spin a little tighter. Come on, and the world's a little brighter. Come on, just get yourself inside her.